Hey everyone, it's me, your favorite mystical person here on the internet, back with another astrology video. In today's video, we're talking about Aries rising, so give this video a like. And if you guys are interested in astrology or tarot readings, you can find the links to my website in my description box, and let's get into this video. So a little bit about the first house. So the first house is you. It's how you express yourself, and it's your first impression on the world around you. And this is how people see you. This rising is very undefined, and I'll go into more detail about that later on in the video, but it's very undefined, but these people are meant to do something first. They're meant to step into a path that nobody has ever stepped into. So these people are meant to be pioneers, okay? Aries is the pioneer of the zodiac. This is a rising where it's not like the other risings where they have specific niche paths. They have a lot of options to do whatever. These are the type of people to have a very adventurous and colorful life path. A lot of their life path is centered around being first, being the leader. I also feel like in some cases, an Aries rising, they could also take on the position of a teacher because it allows them to be in like a leadership or like an authoritarian kind of role. They experience many different things in life, making them a very wise person. But if they do take on the role of a teacher, typically they won't do that until later on in life when they've gained some maturity and wisdom. I really quite like Aries energy because it's just a sign of new beginnings. So Aries rising, they tend to have this vibe about them that's very refreshing. This fresh, springtime, very vibrant kind of energy, just very youthful as well. Aries is known to be a very youthful sign. They just have like this very innocent and playful kind of vibe to them as well. Their energy is very light. So whenever you're around an Aries rising, there's just a lightness to them. That's because of their 12th house. Their 12th house is ruled by Pisces. Pisces is a sign that has to do with release, letting go, purification, just overall just cleansing your energy. So oftentimes this rising can bring an energy of starting over. Aries rising, they could oftentimes come into this life feeling like they don't have a lot of karmic debt. They don't have a lot of karma. You know, so it's like, this is why they feel like very light energetically. You know, they don't have a lot of karmic debt like a lot of other signs do. Thanks to their 12th house, allowing them to be in this energetically purified kind of space. This allows Aries rising the freedom to do pretty much whatever, as opposed to with certain signs where they have a lot of like ancestral debt and, you know, just like their ancestors have specific missions for them to do. That's not the case for Aries rising. And of course you have to check your chart to kind of see what else is going on, but this is in a general sense. Like Aries rising, they don't have karmic debt like that. Approaching the world with fresh eyes, you know, it's like being born again. Aries is associated with the spring equinox, and the spring equinox is when things are reborn again. So this is literally the energy that Aries comes into this life with. Nothing is like holding them back. They just have the freedom to kind of just maneuver throughout life how they see fit to them. Which brings me into my next point. Pisces being in the 12th house, this can kind of make an Aries rising experience moments of feeling lost or kind of like uncertain of what their path is supposed to be. Life is like a free-flowing kind of vibe. Aries rising, they could oftentimes kind of feel a little lost of like who they are, what they're supposed to do. They have a hard time figuring out like what is their purpose and kind of how they're going to make an impact on the world. This is a rising sign that has to do with self-development, self-exploration, self-definition, finding your purpose, and also just finding out how you're going to make your mark in the world, how you're going to make a name for yourself. Okay? Because Aries is associated with the identity. So there's a heavy focus on identity and self-definition, especially because you're coming from the 12th house where there was a lack of definition. Everything is undefined in Pisces. Rising up into the Aries energy, they could find themselves feeling like, okay, who am I and what am I meant to do here and why? I did date an Aries rising once, and he did struggle with figuring out what he wanted to do in life and what his purpose is. And it didn't help that he was a Gemini too, so that made things even more confusing for him. Aries rising, they have this tendency to just have so many options to where it's like, I don't even know what to choose. And my best advice for an Aries rising is to go with what your deepest desires are and really just go with what makes you feel passionate, what enlivens you, okay? Like what lights the fire under your ass to like get you to do it. That is how you'll know what to do. Essentially, somebody with an Aries rising, they're meant to create a new identity because they completely released their old identity and now they've risen up into this Aries rising. Okay, so this is highlighting the self. This is about really just creating a whole new you. Since the 12th house is linked to spirit guides, angels, the ethereal kind of realm, this is somebody that is very divinely guided and protected. What initiates their life path of self-exploration? It could be just like a spiritual awakening, or it could be like a calling that they have. They feel called to do something. Their spirit guides kind of gives them a little nudge, like, okay, like you could, like, you know, you got our support, you know, we'll let you choose for yourself, but you definitely got our support. So this is somebody that has very strong faith. This is somebody that has spent lifetimes developing their faith in the unknown, the higher powers and the universe and all of that stuff. This is somebody that, although they may feel lost sometimes, they are very optimistic and they do have a lot of confidence. And that's because they have a lot of faith in the universe, in a higher power, in their angels, their spirit guides. They know they're divinely guided and protected, to where it's like no matter what path they embark on, they know they have divine support and they know they're being guided in the right direction. So that's one thing. The rising also highlights the individuals that surrounded you in the earlier parts of your life that helped you develop, and also gives a backstory of why you initiated into the path that you initiated yourself into. Dark side of Aries, they can lack a sense of self. They could kind of be subjected to people controlling their life path and their decisions and things of that nature. And with an Aries rising, this indicates to me like there was a lot of controlling and authoritarian figures that surrounded you. Very strict parental figures, very overbearing as well. And that's because Aries rising has Capricorn in the 10th house and Cancer in the 4th house. That's a mixture of like controlling and overbearing figures in your life that oftentimes would dictate the path that an Aries rising would take. But Aries rising has a choice. It's either you allow yourself to be told what to do and kind of figure out later on, like, I didn't really want to do that. Or you rebel because, going back to what I was saying, you have that calling. You feel in your soul that you're meant to do something very different from the people around you or what your parents had a vision of you to do, and you just do that and you be like, you know what, F this, like I'm just gonna go do what I feel is right for me and what I feel called to do. This is where Aries could be the rebel, really angsty and just very hot-headed. These people are passionate about their desires and what it is that they want to do. They don't like to be limited, they don't like to be controlled. Because they grew up in an environment where there was a lot of control or people were overbearing, this is what prompts Aries to be a leader. Okay, because they're like, I don't want to be told what to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be controlled. They break free from whatever restrictions are put on them and they just go on their own way. Okay, and they just start taking lead of their own life, and essentially they become the captain of their own ship. More about the Pisces 12th house. This person was definitely a spiritualist or a mystic. And if they weren't that, they were somebody that could have been a victim. Dark side of Pisces is victimhood, being subjected to loss. Overall, just being lost in their addictions and just not really having a firm grip on reality. So this is why I said in the beginning that an Aries rising, their path is oftentimes undefined and they kind of have to figure out how to define themselves and figure out their purpose, because they essentially came from a past life where they weren't so much focused on materialism, establishing themselves, in something, and they were more so focused on their spiritual development. This is what gives this person just this natural attunement to the spiritual realm. Spirit kind of had you isolated. That's something else with the 12th house. The 12th house has to do with isolation or just being in solitude. It's like you're finally experiencing life for the first time. This is what would make an Aries rising a very good teacher. They're going to make a lot of mistakes. You know, their whole life path has to do with trial and error. They're going to experience a lot of failure, just like they're going to experience a lot of successes. This is what is going to give Aries rising that wisdom to be that teacher or that coach to somebody else. Understanding the Aries rising 12th house, now we understand what gives Aries rising the impetus, the confidence, and the desire to create and make something of themselves. These people come into this life very empowered. They come in with a lot of energy too. Think about it. When you take that time in isolation and you take the time to retreat, you come back feeling renewed. You have a lot of energy. Aries rising, they have lots of energy because there's so much to do in this lifetime. There's so much to create, and that takes a lot of energy. They just have a desire to really make a name for themselves. They want to feel powerful. A big lesson for Aries rising is patience. This is a sign that is very impatient. They're very hot-headed. They want things now. They want things their way. Life is going to show them you need to have patience. You need to have strategy. They always go with their first impulse. They're going to learn how to manage their impulses as well. To be honest, an Aries rising, they're really meant to be selfish in this lifetime. This rising is about focusing on the self, really developing yourself. Really getting to know yourself, making something of yourself. Is really just about the self. So if you know Aries risings in your life and you feel like they're selfish, well, that is in their birthright to be selfish. I will say for an Aries rising, my advice to you is just, kind of just manage your ego a bit, because, Aries, they could kind of fall on the spectrum where they could be a little egocentric. Okay, so it's just really having that balance. Selfishness is the key for an Aries rising, because with that Pisces 12th house, you came from a past life where you were very selfless. You were very much so empathetic to everybody around you, and you didn't even really consider what it is that you need. Maybe you even felt to a certain degree guilty for being selfish, and really just honing in on your personal needs and your desires, your wants, putting yourself out there to be seen and to be known for something. Okay, so really the spotlight is on you, Aries risings. Okay, so let's get into Aries rising appearance. So Aries rising is giving sexy too. Okay, because of that Mars energy. They're ruled by Mars. The first house also has to do with your body as well. They tend to have a very athletic body, very fit. Mars is the planet of sex, sexiness. It's the planet of boldness. So this person could dress very bold, very provocative, anything that allows them to show off their body, show off their figure. This is the way they express themselves most times as well. That makes them very sexy. So it's not only in the way that they dress, but it's also in the way that they act, and people perceive them as this person that is very confident, powerful. And even if they're not dressing bold or provocative, they could just be somebody that likes to wear fitness clothes. Like, this could be somebody that's really big on their health and their fitness. They may work out a lot. And even if they don't, they just like fitness clothes. Even if they're a guy or a girl, like, they have like this very muscular stature, but it is sexy though. They tend to be very youthful in the face. They always have like a glow to them. They always look like they're just glowing, and that gives them this larger than life kind of presence. They have this very ethereal, angelic kind of presence. It makes them just very radiant energetically. And I love that. They overall just have a very vibrant look, very vibrant smiles. I will say there's this one thing with Aries that could kind of put people off sometimes. They have like this intimidating, bullyish kind of face sometimes, especially when they're not smiling. So that can make people a little intimidated. All in all, Aries rising is somebody that is meant to be an inspiration for others and act as a representative to remind others to be fearless, be bold, and be passionate. Go after your passions. Believe in yourself. Okay, that is all I have for this Aries rising video. I hope you guys found this insightful, and if this is your rising, comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts and experiences, and give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.